There is more than 60% chance that you clicked on this video because of the title, and, in this case, the chances are even higher as it is the first video on this channel. Is it a clickbait? Is it really so easy to influence human choices? What can we do about it? As they say, stick around till the end, the answer may shock you. First, let's try to understand how we choose one thing over others. Most of us like to think that all the choices we make are logical and carefully decided after evaluating all possible options. In his book Choice Theory, the author William Glasser oversimplified the human decision-making process by saying, all choices are made to satisfy 5 basic needs: survival, love and belonging, power, freedom, and fun. Another theory is that every decision we make is based on getting the maximum potential benefit. This is known as marginal utility or rational choice theory. Both theories may seem obvious, but that is not the entire story. We make hundreds, not if thousands, of decisions every day, everything from what dress to wear, what to eat at lunch, to what videos to watch on YouTube, what to buy from grocery stores, and it is not always rational to make all the decisions based on logical reasoning. Take this example: if you are asked to choose between tea and coffee, most of you will decide without even thinking. But if you are asked to choose between PlayStation and Xbox, your decision may not be instantaneous. We tend to give less attention to some choices than the others, and that is where influencers come in. The most common influencer in the choices we make is termed as knoXZ, or popular opinion. This term is generally used in philosophy, which means we choose to believe something to be right because most of the people are saying it's right. For example, most of the people have perceived Shakespeare as a genius without even reading his works to justify their belief, they just go with the mass. This is not always a good practice, as evident numerous times in history, whether it is Gallelio going to prison for life for publishing his theories about sun-centered universe, opposing the common belief of that time, or the fact that the Great Wall of China cannot be seen from space, and certainly not from the moon, but we still believe it does. Another way our choices are influenced is the way the choices are presented to us. In a paper titled, "Do Defaults Save Life?" researchers have shown how changing the default makes people choose a different option. In this study, 3 groups of participants were asked whether they would be donors based on 3 questions with varying defaults. The opt-in group was told that the default was not to be an organ donor and were asked whether they wanted to confirm or change their status. The opt-out group was also asked the same question, but the default was to be an organ donor. The neutral group was simply asked to choose with no prior default. The result revealed that the donation rates were twice as high for the opt-out group compared to the opt-in group and did not differ significantly from the neutral group. These results are consistent with the real-world data taken from 11 different European countries. The countries on the left phrase the question like this: check the box if you want to participate in organ donor program, and the countries on the right phrase the question like, check the box if you don't want to participate in organ donor program. People always tend to go with the default, but why is that? The researchers have given 3 possible reasons for this. First, decision makers might believe that defaults are suggestions by the policy maker, which imply a recommended action. Second, making a decision often involves effort, whereas accepting the default is effortless. Finally, defaults often represent the existing status quo, and change usually involves a trade-off. People tend to believe they have more to lose by change. But how to popularize something that it becomes the default? That's where advertisers weigh in. Let's say there are 2 identical restaurants across the street from each other in a city where you just moved in. One of them is crowded with people, and the other one is empty. Which one would you choose? Most of us will choose the busy one. Later you found out that the owner of the crowded restaurant had hired a few people to fill up the first few tables to make the place look crowded. Does it affect your decision? It does not, because now you don't want to feel isolated and still stick with your original decision. This is known as herd mentality bias. Every year, advertisers pay millions of dollars to people to talk about their product, and eventually that becomes the default. Another method used by YouTubers, news portals and a lot of other organizations is known as clickbait. But what exactly is clickbait? Researchers from Cyprus University of Technology, in their paper titled, "The Good, the Bad, and the Bait," defined clickbait videos as Quote, 1. Use of eye-catching thumbnails, such as depictions of abnormal stuff or attractive adults, which are often irrelevant to video content. 2. Use of headlines that aim to intrigue the viewers. And 3. Encapsulate false information to either the headline, the thumbnail or the video content. We refer to videos that employ such techniques as clickbaits, end quote. So to answer your question, this video is not a clickbait. Although clickbait works to some extent, but researchers have shown in the same paper that people dislike a clickbait video a lot more than non-clickbait videos. Another research paper, published in the International Scientific Conference on Industrial Systems in 2017, has concluded that the majority of the readers expresses a negative attitude towards clickbaity news articles and have a tendency to avoid reading such articles. It is considered untrustworthy by most. Even though some methods such as clickbaits make people frustrated and impact their decision-making process in a bad way, not all influence is bad influence. Like the organ donation experiment, even influenced is still a good decision, or the fear of losing teeth shown in the advert makes us brush our teeth on a daily basis. Advertising is in no way a bad activity. It helps people to understand the value that the product or the service is delivering, and if the customers feel betrayed after they decide to buy it, they catch up to it eventually, and the product loses its value. Not every decision made unconsciously is irrational or bad. Every second we are bombarded with immense amount of data, and we have evolved to make decisions trusting our gut. Most of the time it works. Choices that don't work out are mostly reversible. There are some hard choices that everyone faces at some point in their life and are bound to make some bad decisions. We can't leave those decisions free from influences. What we can do best is identify those influences and understand how it's going to affect our decision-making process. We have to think a lot more about those choices and relevance of it in our life. Remember, logic is the best default.